You don't think it's on? Now it's on. There we go. So now it's still 6:32. I think it's time to call this Board of Education meeting to order for April 24th, 2024. We'll begin with a salute to the flag. Any additional agenda changes list? Cool. To begin with, as our celebration of the day, we'd like to hear from the mock trial team about their exciting season.
Introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Natalie Corey, and I was a defense attorney.
I'm Haley Rose, and I was a prosecution and defense attorney.
My name's Everett D.B. Voice Ward. I was the main defendant.
My name is Santino Bailey. I was a defense witness.
My name is R.A. Lowry, and I was a prosecution attorney.
My name is Amelia Novak, and I was a prosecution witness.
So pretty much mock trial was a school club we had that sort of simulated the courtroom experience. We would go to the Schenectady County Courthouse and we would face off against other schools in a competitive competition of sorts with the help of our teacher and our attorney advisor, yes.
So now we're going to hear just a little bit about how we prepare for competitions.
So when we're preparing for competitions, we do a lot of different things. We have to prepare questions because basically what we do, we basically simulate through the whole trial. So we get a thick packet of all the notes of the case, all the details, all the witnesses' different perspectives, and we compile those into questions that fit within the rules. There's a lot of rules. And so we work on really tailoring our questions and also preparing our witnesses, so making sure that they will give the correct responses and staying within like the time limits and all of the guidelines to prepare a fluent case that can hopefully easily be decided when we're in the courtroom by the judge.
As a witness, we had to memorize our affidavit, and we could not have it on the stand. So we really had to know our part, and it really helped with the case and everything.
I know for me, the reason I do mock trial is the feeling you get when you're in the courtroom acting out the case. It's nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time, and you have to pick your words really carefully because it's very detail-oriented. Everything you say might have a big effect on the case.
Mock trial is very valuable for public speaking skills and also critical thinking, because especially as an attorney, we have to come up with objections and possibly change our questions based on objections. So it's a lot of thinking on your feet and thinking really quickly.
Personally, one of my favorite things about mock trial is how competitive it gets, and it helps a lot because it brings out your confidence when you're up there and you're asking all these questions and you're trying to win your case in front of this real live judge. And at the end, they tally all these points, and they give advice, but the deciding factor is between the case and the match. And it's just really, really nerve-wracking at the end. And I think that's one of the hardest parts, is hearing the final.
So personally, I did mock trial and I found it valuable for all the public speaking skills it gave me. It gave me more confidence to sort of speak out to a crowd, which could be used more effectively in the future, maybe not now, but as an adult.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing. Like, it's just very valuable for public speaking. I was here, like, literally, like, last week doing my presentations for AP seminar, and, like, those skills kind of helped a lot, like, with memorization and with, like, being clear and coherent even when you're really, really, really stressed. So, yeah.
We just want to thank you for inviting us and for recognizing this club. I've been doing this for a little over 10 years as the advisor. It's one of the most fun things I do as part of my job. And they're going to think this is cheesy, I'm sorry, but I say this all the time that it is absolutely, and I'm not exaggerating, amazing that these young people can stand up in a real courtroom in front of a real judge and compete with other teams. It's a fake case, but it is very real, the competition. And it gets pretty tense, doesn't it, you guys? Especially when the judge rules against you and we think the judge is wrong. You know, and especially if we think they thought that the other team was better than us, which they of course never are. But if you ever get a chance to come to a match, I highly encourage you to do so. It is truly amazing to watch these young people stand up and do this. Especially attorneys, I think both sides are difficult. I just want to say that we have one attorney that started in 8th grade. This program is only for 9th through 12th grades, but because last year there were only 2 teams, we revived it. We kept it going through COVID. We were allowed to include an 8th grader, and that was Ari. So she's actually in her 2nd year of competition this year. Same thing for Haley, it's her 2nd year. Who else? Santino's her 2nd year as well, okay? And all of these kids will be back next year, so we're looking forward to continuing to grow. So I won't take more of your time, but thank you so much for having us. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, to quote Melissa, that was just awesome. That was great. So we still have no one signed up, right? So we will move on then to the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services budget info presentation.
Okay. So last week, we finally got our state aid report. The New York State actually finished their budget. We got our state aid runs, and that was really the last thing that we were waiting for in our budget was to finish our revenue budget. So I put together a quick little recap of basically where that puts our revenues. So the biggest thing is that foundation aid that was a threat to be a negative number this year. It came back at a 0% increase. So while that doesn't cover the cost of inflation and increases in the budget, of course, it at least gives us a flat number to go with instead of a negative. So our state aid stayed pretty flat from current year. So we're showing the budgeted numbers from the current year versus what we're projected to get for 24-25. So the biggest, most important number that we were really waiting for was that foundation aid number, that $5.3 million on the top there. And where that puts us with our revenue to balance the budget. So a majority of our revenue is made up of the property taxes and state aid. And then we balanced our budget with fund balance and a reserve appropriation of $100,000. So that's that 1.150555 number that you see down there. That is the combination of the fund balance and the reserve appropriation to balance the budget to come out at $19,443,000. So tonight the board has on their agenda to approve the budget with the property tax report card. I apologize, this is not really, the font is very small on this because I kind of jammed it in there, so I apologize for that. Not one of my best slide presentations, I guess. So this will be on the agenda. You can also find it on the board docs public site. And the public budget hearing will be on May 7th. And don't forget to vote. May 21st at the Duanesburg Elementary School. That is also the same day as the Delanson Parade, so after the parade or before the parade, don't forget to vote.
Excellent. Any questions for Jeff? Okay. Cool. Moving on. So the primary point of this meeting and why this meeting is on a Wednesday is because we have to vote on the BOCES administrative budget and vote for their Board of Education members, make a decision on those. Um, so but before we do that, we're five tonight, and because it's a relatively big night with both the BOCES vote and the budget on the agenda, the two members that aren't here have submitted statements that they would like me to read. So I just want to read them real quick. Teresa Wood-Irvin has stated that I am in support of the Duanesburg 2024 budget as proposed this evening. I believe it is fiscally responsible and maintains programs and opportunities. I'm also in favor of the BOCES budget. Our partnership with BOCES assists the district both financially and with additional student opportunities. President Them Peterson wrote a bit more. I'll read that now. I apologize for not being in attendance this evening. I have a family obligation that I could not miss. Because this is a meeting of significance, I wanted to at least provide my thoughts on the votes for the evening. With regard to the BOCES budget, I would have voted in favor, as many of you know. We contract with BOCES for a large number of services. The most important of these, in my opinion, is the career and technical education opportunities we can offer our DCS students through the BOCES program. There are many paths to graduation and success, and every student deserves the opportunity to find their way. BOCES CTE provides that for so many students in many different ways. I'm also in support of the BOCES budget and our partnership with them because so many of their services drive revenue for the district. Year over year, we were able to secure revenue by receiving a percentage, oftentimes quite substantial, of the cost of BOCES services back. With regard to the adoption of our own DCS budget and property tax report card, I would have voted in favor. These are challenging times for us all, and the board has been faced with some very difficult decisions. As we all see in our households, expenses continue to rise, and we must make adjustments to adapt. The same is true of our schools. I am sensitive to the impact of increased taxes on our community. I also know that members of this community value our children and want them to have access to excellent educational, athletic, and extracurricular opportunities. We continue to use our savings to balance the budget, but that will not sustain us forever. We must consider not only this year, but the next 3, 5, 10 years in our planning now. Our allegiance will be always to maintaining opportunities for our children. We are working hard to trim wherever we can, but the fact remains those opportunities continue to rise in cost. I'm hopeful that the community will support our students by accepting this budget as well. Thank you so much, Melissa. Moving on to the BOCES vote. So we have an agenda item to adopt the budget and BOCES vote. Be it resolved that the Duanesburg Board of Education authorizes the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of Albany, Schoharie, Schenectady, Saratoga counties be authorized to expend the sum set forth in the administrative budget document in the total amount of $14,618,385 during the school year of 2024-2025, and to raise such sum by assessments to component school districts, non-component school districts, and other BOCES and other sources as required by law. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
This is for the BOCES vote right
This
now.
is for the
right?
BOCES.
Okay.
This is for to approve their administrative budget.
Okay, absolutely. I absolutely love the education that BOCES helps us collaborate with, and also the hands-on training for the technical schooling. So I do really value and appreciate those pieces of BOCES, and it's really hard times right now for everyone financially. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
I would just like to state that somehow, using the math they use, our contribution to the administrative budget is down $3,200 going into this year. So we're actually, our dues to be involved in the program are less. And based on the presentation we just saw from Jeff, we're getting back, based on our spending last year, $913,000. So it feels like it's an excellent investment, both for the programming and for the revenue return. Anyone else? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm opposed.
Anyone abstain? Cool. All right. The next matter is the vote for the BOCES Board of Education members. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of DeWaynesburg Central Schools hereby casts its votes for the following candidates to fill 2 vacant seats for the term of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027 on the BOCES of Albany, Schoharie, Schenectady County, Albany, Schoharie, Schenectady, Saratoga counties. Resolved that the Board of Education casts its vote for the election of Lynn Lenhart of Bethlehem Central School as a member of the BOCES Board. Also, be it resolved, the Board of Education casts its vote for the election of Kimberly Tully of Niskayuna as a member of the BOCES of Cap District Board. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or thoughts or concerns? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Very proud of myself for remembering that word this time. All right. This is on the Dwaynesburg budget. This is to adopt the budget. For the recommendation of the Board of Education, adopt the 2024-2025 school year budget in the amount of $19,443,000. Adopt the 2024-2025 property tax report card, and to levy the necessary 2.7% tax, therefore, as recommended by the superintendent and assistant superintendent of management services. Do I have a motion? A second?
I'll second.
Do I have any comments?
Sure.
Sarah?
Again, these budget discussions, they've been a lot of back and forth, a lot of collaboration, very difficult, right? So, we also have to consider fiscal responsibility as the board, and, the finances that we do have, and also considering the community and, keeping expenses at bay for everybody. So it's really, really, these discussions didn't go without a lot of thought and care. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed?
Any abstentions? All right. I realize we skipped right past you. Jeff, would you like to give an update? Okay, we'll keep going. All right, cool. All right, first, we're going to accept some donations. It's a recommendation that the Board of Education accept the following DCPTA donations as recommended by the superintendent and assistant superintendent for management services. First off, we have $1,000 for students in need, $3,474 for healthy heart monitors, and $300 for UPK play areas. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Any questions or concerns? Or thoughts? Jeff, do you know anything about this?
Yes, they had some extra money they wanted to give to the school. And
Great.
They were very gracious to give us these funds. So.
That was very generous of the PTA.
I'd like to say thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right. All in favor? I got lost.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Cool. We have two resignations. Recommended the Board of Education accept the resignations as followed. Uh, do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sarah? Any questions or thoughts? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And we have, it's a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following substitute appointments as recommended by the superintendent and elementary school principal. All these appointments are employees at will, and the appointment at this time does not guarantee employment for the entire school year or term. They are as listed. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or thoughts? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? I did so well.
You're still doing okay.
Yeah. So before we close the meeting, Jeff, any thoughts?
Hello? Good. I just have just a brief bit of news here. So today, the U.S. News and World Reports came out with their rankings for high schools across basically the nation and in New York State. And Waynesburg fared very well. You have always fared very well in this, and you continue to do that. And basically, Waynesburg is out of the top. Well, you're ranked 17th in the Albany area, metro area schools, and you are the smallest school in that entire ranking in that category. So you are ranking above some of the big schools and certainly all of the smaller schools. So there's 1,200 total school districts that are ranked high schools in New York State, and you were ranked out of that 1,200, 412th. So that's a pretty darn good standing. And out of the 17, almost 18,000 high schools that are ranked across the country, you rank 4,700. So if you think about that, that's quite an accomplishment. And it says a lot for the community, it says a lot for the board, it says a lot for everybody that gives their time and effort into making this happen for kids. Kind of unique that this comes out on the day we talk about budget, because clearly, right, without the support that we get from the local community, and we continue to hope that we get the support from the state when it comes to state aid and the foundation formula, especially as they go through that redesign, that we can continue to provide the programming and opportunities for our kids. Because if you think about it, there's a couple of parts of this that kind of weigh heavily in the ranking. One is opportunity, especially for AP classes and college readiness. So in order to do that, right, some of those classes are pretty small when you think about it. And we need to be able to support the opportunities for kids to be able to continue through that. The other part about it, that plays into this is state assessment ranks, how well we do on our state assessments, our graduation ranking, how many kids graduate in 4 years. Although the window is really a 5-year look at that number, so oftentimes it doesn't necessarily look like what the actual class was, because it will allow kids, for the ranking purposes, for a 5-year program. Kind of like college today. Like back in the day, we went to school, it was 4, and now 5 and 6 is fairly common. But anyways, so it's an interesting piece how this all worked out, and I just want to say to the board, it's you guys that drive the ship here, right? We all work for you, and it's your desires to make sure that the district continues to provide the appropriate programming. And yeah, you've made some tough decisions, and you're going to have more tough decisions to make, especially as budgets become tighter, and we often at this point don't really know how things will play out over the next couple of years. But keep the faith, right? It's about kids, and you can't lose that focus. We're here every day because of kids, and providing kids opportunities, whether it be college courses, whether it be BOCES, whether it be anything that kids want to explore and have the opportunity to, we owe it to them. I think the community expects that of us. I think the community expects that of you. And I can say in my 2 stints as the interim here, you haven't wavered from that. And that's a compliment to you all. So thank you all very much for what you do.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I just have one final note for the board. May 22nd at Mill Pound Inn, the Schoharie County School Board Association will be meeting for their spring dinner in Jefferson. It's actually being hosted by Jefferson, which is interesting because they're not actually a member of the association, but it should be a good time. My understanding is the presentation will be about beginnings of discussions and understandings of regionalization for high schools and possibly other programs. So I think that might be very interesting, sort of seeing how other schools in our area, other small schools in our areas that are thinking about how to help each other. The final bit of motion is that we'll be moving to executive session and we will not be returning to public session. Do I have a motion to move to executive session?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
Additionally, the executive session is for personnel discussion. All right. Do we vote now? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay. I think we do that in there, right? We vote to close in there? Okay.
Well, you vote to come back into public and then close.
Right. Well, thank you all so much. Hope you all have a great night, and thank you very much.
Test. Test, test. Like this? Yeah. I think it's because of the static. Test, test. They can work in synchronicity. I feel like the second half of high school, I became like more of an extrovert than I did regularly. It's because they had the volume of these speakers way too high. That's why it was doing what it was doing.